Possession game can be frustrating, but it's the only playstyle in eFootball that's actually unstoppable once you get it right. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, with real PvP matches against strong opponents and solid defenses. One of my subscribers actually asked me to make a video on Pep Guardiola's 2009 Barcelona squad. So yeah, that's the setup I'll be using in this one. I'll show you real game examples, then I'll break down the setup for you, and finally, I'll give you 3 key tips to really excel at possession game. Let's get right into the gameplay. Alright, you can see here that the first team I'm facing is actually stacked at the back. He's got Van Dijk and Cannavaro at center back and Tchouameni at DMF. Then Edgar Davids on the bench and Otto ready to come in. So, defensively, he's very well set up, but it won't really matter. Now, straight into the game, look at this first chance. Scholes to Batistuta. And you can see Messi's run from deep. He wins the foul here. And from the resulting corner, Rijkaard rises up and buries it. So satisfying, because honestly, I thought that should have been a penalty anyway. Then again, look how easily we're getting through when Batistuta and Messi start linking up. Just quick 1-2s, breaking lines like it's nothing. And now, this is the second half, 68th minute. I switch thing up a bit. I'll explain that later. Same setup, but I bring on Yamal for Badigal to stretch the pitch on the right, while Van Nistelrooy replaces Neymar to hold the width on the other side. And you can see it works very well as it leads to another goal. Next team, good backline, solid DMs. But you can see the same old story once Messi starts linking up with Batistuta again. He just breaks him open. The first goal comes early, just 2 minutes in. You can see it. As soon as Messi gets the ball, Batistuta's already making that run in behind. It works like magic every time. And Neymar's wide movement is crucial. He stretches the defense on the far side, always pulling one of their center backs out of position. That's why these spaces open up in the middle for Messi and Batistuta to exploit. You'll see it again here. The 1-2 between them is just automatic. In football, not every chance goes in, but the pattern is clear. Messi receives from deep, plays 1-2 with Badigal, while Neymar stretches the pitch, and suddenly the defense is wide open. Messi is just so good in that supporting striker role. Now this time, we're using the wing, and this is exactly why I say, when you play possession game, you need at least one attacking fullback. They help you overload the wide areas and keep the play flowing. I'll explain that more in the tactics section. Then in the second half, same story. The defense can't deal with my team's fluid movement. The 1-2s with Messi again, and it looks like the defense don't even know what they're doing. And this is against very strong defenses. Also, notice how Messi sometimes drifts wide here. That switch keeps defenders guessing and makes the whole setup unpredictable. Alright, and of course, one more team. Just watch this. This isn't even a counter play style, but the way the players are set up and positioned makes us extremely dangerous on the break, even while playing a possession game. It's actually crazy because you get the best of both worlds. Now let me show you how to set up your team and pick players to be able to dominate with this play style. First off, the goalkeeper. Ideally, you want an attacking goalkeeper. That's because an attacking keeper steps off his line quickly to sweep up long balls and start quick transitions. But as you can see here, I'm actually using Courtois, who's a defensive goalkeeper. So what I do is stay very active with him. The moment I sense danger, I manually trigger the goalkeeper pressure early. Sometimes he won't come out automatically, so I make sure to react myself. So, go for an attacking goalkeeper. It makes your life easier. But if not, like me, you'll just need to be sharp and time your sweeps properly. Now, let's talk about center backs. Now, a lot of people ask me why I use 2 build-up defenders. The truth is, it's not really tactical. It's just practical. I don't want to use Cannavaro and Barisi together because they're both short, and I can't afford to have 2 short center backs in my lineup. So instead, I pair Rio Ferdinand with Barisi. Now, that means both of them are build-up defenders, and yes, that's a bit risky. Because when you use 2 build-ups, your line can get too passive, and that gives your opponent space to shoot and create chances. Ideally, you want 1 destroyer and 1 build-up. That gives you the perfect balance. One attacks the ball, the other covers. But if you only have 2 build-ups, don't worry. I'll show you how I manage to make it work. I don't always depend on the AI. I switch one of my build-up defenders myself. Like, I manually move the cursor to the closest one and press. Just like when you're using a defensive goalkeeper. You have to be proactive and use call for pressure properly. And finally, your fullbacks. You need at least 1 attacking fullback in your setup. You can go with 2 if you trust your defending, but it's risky. Both fullbacks must have pace. They're the ones who help you reset possession and recover from counters. If you're using a defensive fullback like me, make sure he has high defensive awareness so he can tuck inside and cover when your center back step out. Alright, let's get into midfield. Now, usually I like to go with 2 defensive midfielders. But in possession game, it's different. You need your midfielders higher up the pitch. You need more bodies pressing and holding the ball higher up, and you don't want your possession stuck deep in your own half. That's why, here, you go with only 1 defensive midfielder. And this is non-negotiable. He has to be an anchor man. If you missed the nomination contract Rodri, or you haven't gotten Rijkaard yet from the daily game, there's still a few free options. But if you don't have an anchor man, you can use a destroyer or an orchestrator with really strong defensive stats. But make sure you go into the individual instructions and give him defensive, so he doesn't move up too much during attacks. His job is to sit, cover, and stop counters while everyone else presses. Now, a lot of people like to give their DM the deep line instruction. If it works for you, fine. But for me, that's basically the same as using 3 center backs, and in possession game it's not ideal. Here's why. Once your 2 central mids push up to press, that DM drops too deep, and you're left with no one in front of the defense. The DM's job is to be that safety net, to put out fires when opponents beat your first press. If you make him too deep, that space stays empty, and you might get punished for it. For the central midfielders, you can go with 2 CMs, but since we're trying to replicate that Barcelona 2009-11 setups, we'll mirror that structure. Your DM, that's your anchor man, like Busquets. Then, beside him, you need someone like Xavi, a controller, a rhythm player. Normally, the best profile here is an orchestrator. I personally use Paul Scholes. He's a creative playmaker, and although that playstyle isn't compatible with the CM position, it still works beautifully. He becomes an inactive playstyle, but he controls the tempo perfectly, just like Xavi did in that Barca side. Then, in the attacking midfield, it's crucial to use a whole player, for 2 reasons. First, if you're replicating Barcelona, Iniesta was a whole player, always finding and running into those pockets of space. In my opinion, Iniesta is the best whole player in history. Second, it complements your striker because your forward here is a deep lying forward. So, when he drops in, you need someone who runs beyond him, attacking the spaces he creates. That's exactly why I use Frank Lampard. He's a whole player, and you'll see it a lot in my matches. Those late runs into the box, perfectly timed behind the striker. And that's it for your midfield setup. Alright, now for the attack. You already saw in action during the gameplay clips I showed you earlier. But there's something I always do to keep things unpredictable. In the first half, I usually start with Batistuta as my center forward on the right side, and Neymar on the left as a winger to stretch the pitch. This gives me both width and a goal threat right from the start. Then, around the 60th minute, or whenever I'm ready to make my substitutions, I switch things up. I bring in Yamal for Batistuta on the right side, and Van Nistelrooy comes in for Neymar, playing as a center forward. Or I bring in Mbappe in any of those positions. It's still the same shape, but now the width shifts to the opposite side. The balance changes completely, and suddenly the defense has to adjust to a new dynamic. That's what keeps the attack unpredictable. Same structure, totally different rhythm. General gameplay. 3 key tips to actually play possession football. Alright, so now that we've talked about the defense, the midfield, and the attack, let's talk about how to actually use this setup in game. Because trust me, possession game is so much more than just keeping the ball. Tip number 1, don't rush. The goal here is control, not speed. Every pass is meant to pull your opponent out of shape. So keep the ball moving, short, sharp passes, and make them chase you. Once they start chasing, gaps automatically appear. Tip number 2, stay compact. Even though you're attacking, your players need to stay close enough to help each other out. That's what keeps the ball flowing. If you stretch too early, you'll lose your passing rhythm. The width only comes when the ball gets to the final third. That's when your winger or fullback stretches the play. Tip number 3, pressing triggers. Here's what I do. Whenever I lose the ball, especially in the middle or final third, I trigger my front 3 to press instantly. That's because in possession football, you lose the ball higher up the pitch. So your first reaction should always be to win it back immediately. Your midfielders, especially the whole player and the orchestrator, must close passing lanes while your DM holds his position. Don't drag him out. He's the one that protects your center backs from being exposed. If you really want to see all of these unfold in real time, Let me know in the comments. I'm thinking of doing a full match breakdown where I'll play a real game and talk through every move, the build-up, the pressing, the transitions, so you can actually see how it all connects in real time. So, if you want me to drop that next, just say possession match in the comments and I'll know you're ready for it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.